Hey, I've got a question for you. Have you ever been in a situation with a woman and had a moment where you look back and thought, did I even make my own choices? If it felt like your mind was tangled up and your emotions were being controlled by a remote, it's not because you're crazy. It's not a coincidence. Some women, not all of them. And the ones who have mastered these dark arts know exactly what they're doing. If you don't catch the signs early, you could wake up one day and realize you've become a puppet in your own story. Today, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the psychological games that mess with your logic, exploit your feelings, and distort your reality. And trust me, once you see them, they can't be unseen. So get ready, because this is going to be uncomfortable in a way that will save you years of wasted energy. Let's dive in. 1. The guilt trap. Your morals are being used against you. It typically starts subtly. You're doing something perfectly normal, like working late, meeting up with friends, or pursuing your passions. Then comes the look, the sigh, or a casual, offhanded comment like, wow, it must be nice to have all that free time when people who care about you are waiting. At first, you might brush it off, or even apologize, thinking, I don't want her to feel neglected. But that's the opening she's looking for. The guilt trap is a slow, steady drip, not one big argument. It's 1,000 small pinches that make you question whether you're selfish just for living your life. And here's the insidious part. The guilt doesn't attack your logic. It attacks your identity. It makes you wonder if you're a good man. Once that seed of doubt is planted, it grows like a weed. You start prioritizing her feelings over your own values, which is exactly what she wants. When guilt is steering your choices, you're easier to control. You stop asking, what do I want? Start asking, how can I avoid making her upset? In that moment, you're no longer free. You're reacting instead of leading. 8. True love doesn't manipulate your moral compass. It strengthens your integrity. It doesn't use your values as a weapon. The antidote? Catch it early. If you find yourself constantly apologizing for things that aren't wrong or rearranging your life to keep someone happy temporarily, stop. Ask yourself, am I being fair to myself right now? Am I honoring what matters to me, or am I being guilt-tripped into giving up who I am? Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not emotional ransom notes disguised as love. 2. Gaslighting. Your reality is being rewritten. You're not crazy. You're not imagining things. But if a woman is gaslighting you, you'll start doubting your own sanity faster than you think. Gaslighting is psychological warfare. It doesn't just disagree with you. It attacks your very sense of reality. Here's what it looks like. You catch her texting an ex. Somehow, after the conversation, you're the one apologizing for being paranoid. She says something cruel, you react, and suddenly, you're the sensitive one who can't take a joke. You bring up an issue, and she flips it, making you the real problem. It's dizzying. You walk away from every disagreement more confused than when you started. You begin to think, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I'm too emotional. Maybe I do expect too much. Pause. When you're alone, without her voice in your ear, what does your gut tell you? Gaslighting is designed to cut you off from your instincts and make you rely on someone else's approval for your truth. Once you're disconnected from your own reality, you become vulnerable, easier to control, manipulate, and keep stuck. Not every disagreement is gaslighting. People are allowed to see things differently. But if you notice a pattern where every issue becomes your fault, if apologies always flow in one direction, and if you feel less confident the longer you stay, you're not being loved, you're being controlled. The only cure is to have unwavering self-trust. Not arrogance, but a quiet, grounded loyalty to what you see with your eyes and what your soul knows to be true. You don't need a permission slip to believe what you experienced. 3. The hot and cold game. Addiction through uncertainty. There's a twisted psychological trick that creates obsession, unpredictability. It's called intermittent reinforcement. And it's a concept straight out of a lab rat experiment. If you give a rat a reward every time it presses a lever, it gets bored quickly. But if you give it a reward only sometimes, at random intervals, it will keep pressing that lever like it's possessed. Some women use this exact dynamic. At first, she's amazing. She gives you nonstop attention, texts you constantly, and makes you feel like the king of her world. Then, silence. For a day or two, with no explanation. Then, boom, she's back, acting as sweet as ever, like nothing happened. You're confused but also relieved, thinking maybe she was just busy. But then it happens again. The cold shoulder, the unpredictable moods, the sudden withdrawal, followed by intense affection. Welcome to the addiction cycle. Your brain becomes trained to crave her approval like a drug. You start working harder for smaller scraps of validation. And because the good moments feel so incredible, you tolerate more and more disrespect just to get that high again. Isn't love? It's manipulation, and it's dangerous because the longer you're in that push-pull dynamic, the harder it is to leave. You might start thinking, maybe I just need to be better. Maybe if I give more, if I love harder, she'll be consistent. No, my friend. Consistency is a choice, not a prize you win by suffering. The right woman won't treat your heart like a yo-yo. She'll show up steadily, not just when it's convenient for her need for control. If you notice this cycle, break it. Walk away before you confuse addiction with love. Your peace is not something you should have to earn. It's the baseline requirement for anyone who wants to be a part of your life. Point 4. Emotional withholding, weaponizing affection. You know that sinking feeling when someone you care about suddenly becomes distant. Not angry or argumentative, just cold. Like a wall went up overnight while you're standing outside, barefoot in the snow, knocking and begging to be let back in. This is emotional withholding. It's one of the quietest and most brutal manipulation tactics because, unlike yelling or insults, it doesn't leave bruises, it leaves emptiness. Here's how the cycle typically works. You do something that displeases her, maybe something small. Instead of addressing it openly, she withdraws. She becomes cold, distant, and disinterested, as if punishing you. You feel rejected, confused, and anxious. You chase her, apologize, overcompensate, and jump through hoops to win her back. And every time you chase, you're training yourself to accept emotional starvation as normal. You start to believe, if I work harder, she'll love me again. If I sacrifice more, I'll get her warmth back. It's an emotional hostage situation. You're not being loved for who you are. You're being tested like a dog earning treats. Make no mistake, this isn't about love. It's about control. It's about teaching you that her affection is conditional, and that your peace and happiness are privileges she can grant or deny depending on how you behave. Think about that. Real love isn't a carrot dangling at the end of a stick. It's a steady fire. It might flicker during hard times, but it doesn't disappear as punishment. The moment you find yourself begging for basic warmth, you're no longer in a healthy relationship. You're in an emotional prison. You don't have to live there. You are worthy of love that doesn't have strings attached, and you are worthy of affection that doesn't need to be earned through obedience. Remember, someone can control you through their silence. They own you. Reclaim your power. Stop knocking on a door that only opens when it's convenient for someone else's ego. Walk toward the light, not the cold. Point 5. Future faking. Selling dreams they don't mean. It's easy to spot manipulation when it's cruel, but it's much harder when it's wrapped in promises. Beautiful promises, the kind that make your heart race. At 3 a.m. because you believe you've finally found something real.
Ow.
This is future faking, and it's one of the most intoxicating traps out there. Here's how it works. She paints vivid pictures of a life together. She talks about traveling, buying a house, getting married, maybe even naming your future kids. Caught up in the dream, you let your guard down. You invest, compromise, and sacrifice because you're not just investing in the present. You're investing in the future she promised. The problem? She never intended to build it. For her, it was never about fulfilling those dreams. It was about using them to keep you anchored, hopeful, and loyal. It was about making you overlook red flags because, hey, we're building something big, right? We're soulmates, remember? But time keeps passing, and the promises remain just promises. The actions never match the words. You painfully realize. You were sold a beautiful illusion. The heartbreak isn't just about losing her. It's about losing the future you thought you were moving toward. Real love isn't a sales pitch. It's 1,000 small actions that add up to something solid and unbreakable. Don't buy castles made of air. Build your own fortress of truth and only invite those who can meet you on solid ground. I know this wasn't an easy conversation. It's uncomfortable to hear this because you want to believe the best in people. You want to believe love is pure, simple, and fair. And it can be, but only if you first protect yourself from the people who would rather use you than love you. Manipulation thrives in the dark. The second you shine a light on it and see it for what it is, you take back your power. You stop being